and players smiling.
But Michael Jordan is not only the best basketball player, but he's the most exciting basketball player to ever play.
Tatum fires away, pumps it in, 51 for Jason Tatum.
The Big Three NBA podcast is powered by PrizePicks and the GameTime app.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Big Three NBA podcast. I'm Kwani Lunis. Sherrod Blakely. Gary Washburn is here as well. Reunited.
And it feels so good, don't it?
Gary 24 hours ago. So this is an interesting reunion.
I just saw Kwani at the Garden.
We'll get into it, though. It was cool to be at the TD Garden, but for, of course, a historical night, the Connecticut Sun and the LA Sparks playing the first professional women's basketball game at the TD Garden, obviously in a major city like Boston. Gary, I'll just start with you off the top. What did you make of the experience as a reporter that was there? And what do you think it means for the league, the WNBA specifically, overall?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a packed house.
Sold out crowd.
Yeah, good crowd. They were into the game. And I think maybe the Sun probably was, maybe they were where maybe they weren't, of how many fans they have in Boston, in the Massachusetts area, that's not just in Connecticut. So maybe, I know they play, I think they're trying to go to a 44-game schedule next year, so 22 home games. Maybe you can have 2 or 3 games of those 22 games you would have at home, maybe have 3 in Boston. Remember, before our time, the Celtics used to play games in Providence and Hartford. They used to just, they used to play a couple of home games in Hartford just to bring those types of fans out and give them something to do. So I think you've got to keep that connection with the city of Boston. And I just thought Alyssa Thomas said something like, maybe this is, our fans are great in Connecticut, but maybe this is a shape of things to come playing. And because, they played a 10,000-seat arena. It's a beautiful, nice arena right on the Mohegan Sun. But I think they feel probably a little isolated out there. It's kind of hard to get to, and so I think in this situation, bring the game to the people. The people showed out. The Sun made a rally because it looked like he was about to lose the game.
No, I was like, this is not a good
Yeah. I can't lose to the worst team in the league. The Sparks are terrible.
Right.
And they're kind of tanking for Paige Buckers, I think. So they weren't really trying to win, but they were up. And then the Sun made a run at the end, 14-0, and then closed it all out. So I thought it was a great experience. DJ Kerr, first time seeing her live.
She's a ball, yo.
Yeah, she's a real energizer. I'm trying to give her an NBA equivalent. And I can't. She's kind of Pat Bev with more game. I would say just that she's an instigator defensively. She runs the floor. She slashes to the rim. She just plays with so much vigor and energy. I'm trying to put a finger on her.
I think she's got a little Marcus Smart in her.
Yeah, no, I think she don't be taking 23s.
I was gonna say, yeah. I was like, but
damn, why you gotta bring that up though, man?
No, we mean it in a bad way.
I like her. It's the first time seeing her live. I saw Alyssa Thomas in the Olympics. Alyssa is just like a versatile player. The roster. I've always been a big Breonna Jones fan. So obviously DeWanna Bonner had her moments. So it's good to see them get their love and appreciation. I think a lot of these players in WNBA feel like they don't get the love, and now they're looking at Caitlin Clark, and now they're looking at Angel Reese getting all this love, and they're like, someone like Alyssa Thomas, I've been in the league 11, 12 years, 32, 33 years old now, and is probably looking at the league growing up and saying, wow, now I'm starting to get my flowers. And I think it's good for them to get the encouragement and get a big fan base, 19,000, now can the WNBA exist in Boston? I think definitely if you're bringing women's soccer here, which starts in 2026, I think it definitely bring basketball here.
Maybe not a big arena like TD Garden, but yes, an arena
you can play at Conti Arena, or you could try to figure out venues, wherever, it fits 8, 9, 10,000 seat arena, figure that out. But I do think you could have the WNBA in Boston. I think it would survive, and I think it would thrive. So it was good to see that last night. I was stunned that it was sold out. Not to say that I didn't think about it. I was like, wow, 20,000, almost 20,000, and they filled the seats. It was not, those stars came out. Jason Tatum, our friend.
Holiday.
The Holiday family.
Some other Olympians.
Yeah, Scal was there, I think, with his daughter.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
So it was good to see just the WNBA thriving on this stage, and I think people have wondered. And it's, Connecticut's it's their 21st year or 22nd year. Why did this just happen now? It's kind of the question I have. Is like this team has been in Connecticut for 2 decades, so hopefully this forms a good, strong relationship between the two franchises.
I was just going to say, Gary, I can tell you why they haven't done it before, because the powers that be have not trusted the WNBA to deliver fans. They have all, for the longest time, they've been treated like second-class citizens, which if you watch them play, you'll realize they play some pretty damn good basketball. Mm-hmm. My following of the WNBA goes all the way back to when Allison Feaster got drafted. Because she led that Harvard team, a 6-team seed, to knock off a number 1 seed. And from that point on, I'm just like, damn, she's kind of nice. Yeah. And then you start seeing the competition that she's playing against. You're like, she's nice, but damn, Houston Comets, they got like nice, and nicer on their roster with Swoops and company. And so to me, what's happening now is that the WNBA is starting to bring in the casuals. I think they already had a pretty solid fan base. It wasn't a large fan base, but it was a solid, committed one. But now they're bringing in a host of casuals who are curious about what's the big deal. Why are people now all of a sudden, checking out not just Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, but A'ja Wilson, who's been the baddest baller in the game in the WNBA for like the last 2-3 years, and Brianna Stewart, and then you've got Sabrina in New York, and you start going down. You got my girl Enrique in Dallas, who is my favorite player. You start going down a list of ballers that aren't named Candace Parker, and all of a sudden you start realizing there's a lot of talent here. And now it's at a point where there's finally a level of trust that the casual sports fan has in the WNBA, and that's why it's taken off now. It's not that all of a sudden their fan base they've got this new invigorated, committed group. No, they're getting the folks who, frankly, are just passing through. But the thing is happening is they're passing through and they're stopping. And then they're passing through and they're stopping. And all of a sudden, they're no longer casual. They're actually diehard fans, folks who are going to check. And Gary, you're right. They would do well in Boston. I think not only in terms of attendance and things like that, but media coverage. You're telling me that in this time of the year, where you got the Red Sox being the Red Sox, and you got the Patriots looking like the anti-Patriots from what you're used to seeing, you're telling me they wouldn't mind checking out, some ballers who are kind of nice in their respective league? Mm-hmm. I think they would. And especially when you're talking about a franchise that, again, has had a long track record of being in the WNBA, when a lot of franchises have folded and had to go elsewhere. I mean, when I came in, the Detroit Shock, then moved to like Tulsa, then they moved somewhere else, and now they're in Dallas. Yeah. So it absolutely would draw well.
I think the key is this, that when we grew up, Sherrod, in
back in the 1800s, right?
Yeah, back in the day.
When Jesus was still on the earth.
Yeah, exactly. Back when Biggie and Tupac were still alive.
When we used to rock those Jesus dunks, right?
Yeah. When back in the day, when college players on the men's side stayed in college for 3 to 4 years, they developed personalities. So by the time they got to the NBA, we knew Christian Laettner, we knew Derek Coleman, we knew Shaq, we knew Grant Hill, we knew Bobby Hurley, we knew these players because we got the chance. We knew the Fab Five, right? Even Chris Webber, who was 2 years, but all those Jaylen, we knew those guys because they had been in college for 2 to 3 to 4 years, and they developed brands and personalities. So by the time they got to the league, we were like, oh, we know who these people are. Now that's not the case. This past draft, you couldn't pick these dudes in the street. You'd be like, you tall? Did you get drafted? I mean, you could put.
There were 2 Celtics rookies courtside. Baylor Sharman
and acknowledged. Yes,
I think
Tom Watson and Baylor Sharman were at the game, and people were like, I'm sure. Oh, who's that tall guy? Like,
yeah, did he play at Northeastern? Nah.
We don't know these players anymore. Like we don't know what these guys look like. We don't know Alex Sarr and all that. But with the women, now with NIL, now Juju Watkins is doing commercials. She ain't begun her sophomore year yet at USC.
She's so good. Damn, she good.
Paige Buckers has been at Connecticut. I know she blew out her knee. She ain't. I mean, she's doing like she's
the
at
New Balance commercials.
Yeah, she's at the ESPYs and stuff. She just finishing. She just got started. She's about to start her senior year at UConn. And Flo J. Johnson
at LSU
is rapping, and I'm not a rapper anymore, but she got rhymes. Like I was like,
she got bars, y'all. She got bars.
And she was in the celebrity game at the Big Three. And she's about to start her junior. She's 20. I looked at her like,
right. She's not even close to the draft.
No, she got 2 years left at LSU. Yeah. Like, so we know these gals before they even get to WNBA. We knew Caitlin Clark. We knew Angel Reese. We knew Camila Cardozo. We knew Rakia Jackson. We knew Cameron Brink. She went to Stanford. She's been killing Cal for 4 years. So we know who they are. So the great thing is happening is the NCAA and the WNBA have finally come together. It's supposed to be apart and separate. The NCAA and the NBA don't like messing with each other. They don't agree on a lot of things. They don't want anything to do with each other. For the first time, the WNBA and the NCAA have bonded. So now, when the draft comes, we know who's going to be the top 2, 3, 4 picks. We didn't see them 3-4 years. We know when Juju Watkins is coming out. We know team will tank for her. We know the Sparks are tanking for Paige Buckers because they need another player. They need a point guard. They need a lot. LA, I used to follow the Sparks pretty close. The Sparks are terrible.
Just terrible.
Terrible. Like Charles Barkley, they're terrible. I love the Sparks, but they're terrible. So the great thing is now, and like you said, Sherrod, watching Caitlin Clark, watching Angel Reese, we do get to see now, as what I wrote today, DeWanna Bonner, Alyssa Thomas. We do get to see the stars of the league, Chelsea Gray, the people that were largely 5, 6, 7 years ago ignored until the Asia, because I think there's like, to me, the WNBA, there's pre-Asia and Brianna, and then after. Like we knew Candace Parker because Candace was at Tennessee for 4 years. So when she got to the league, or like Skylar Diggins or Diana Taurasi, but then there became this like a lot of the players weren't as good. I think the WNBA kind of went through a downs period where the entering rookies weren't as good, and so you were relying on a lot of older players. But now it's different. Rakia Jackson, these new players are bringing some swag to the league, some style to the league. There, and we get to see the veterans. Like I feel for like Alyssa Thomas, who's been 11 years and just like one of the more versatile players. People really don't know her, and they saw her. Hopefully, got the chance to see her with the Olympic team. But or DeWanna Bonner, who's like 16th year, 37 years old. I remember her from Auburn, way back in the day. So I think it was a great opportunity for the league. I wish the game was televised nationally. It should have been. The WNBA is kind of saying we have anything to do with that. It's our sponsors. It's our networks that didn't want to show the game.
A lot of excuses from executives that, to your point, want to put the money behind what is clearly a still growing and marketable sport.
And then where was the commissioner? Like, the commissioner couldn't go to the game last night.
That's a good point.
Like, this is the time. Adam Silver was at Team USA. He was in Paris for gold medal game. Mm-hmm. Right? Kathy Engelberg needs to be at last night's game. She needs to sell the league. She should have had a press conference before the game talking about how great the league is.
Right.
In addition to Stephanie White, Kurt Miller talking to two coaches and the players, you say, isn't this great? We're at the Garden. 2 months ago, the Celtics won a championship here. We got former Celtic. We got Celtic players. This is a 19,000. This is what we want. And let me tell you more about the league. Instead, the ball was dropped on that one. WNBA, and we could talk about that. It's a great league, but they gotta step up their game with the PR. They gotta step up with their game with selling the league more, and and television got to step up too. I don't need to see 3-hour ESPN fantasy draft. I'd rather watch a WNBA game. Well, I don't need to see pillow fighting. I don't need to see the slapping contest. Try you watch that when they slap each
Poker.
other. Yeah, like
I've seen the slap contest.
See the slap?
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And I don't need to see cornhole.
They will put any other sport on when clearly there's an appetite.
Show me more
kickball. Don't forget kickball.
Show me more WNBA, please. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'll add this because I know there are definitely some people, and I don't mean this in a judgmental way, but they're probably tune into this podcast every week and specifically want to listen to Celtics talk and NBA talk specifically. But I just would encourage people to open their minds to the fact that these are professional athletes that are good at what they do. And Dejanay said it perfectly last night, and she was specifically talking about the Connecticut Sun and the Connecticut franchise being, she quite frankly said, disrespected because of, one, that lack of access to Uncasville, but also I think people just not understanding. NBC 10, we had, and NBC Sports, all the NBC stations, we had a pop-up station at the block party that happened right before the game. It was free to the public. You didn't have to be going to the game. It was free on Canal Street, and I thought it was beautiful because it just built community in the city overall. But all the people that I talked to, there were a lot of people from Boston. I talked to a family from Quebec that came down for the game. I talked to a guy from Kittery, Maine that drove to the game, drove up for the game. Of course, there are a lot of people that came from the Connecticut area to support a team that they generally go to games on a regular basis for. But to see the amount of people that were there, but specifically the little girls that either played sports or just wanted to be in the community of other young women and girls that were there, I just would encourage anyone that's like, well, I don't care about women's sports, to understand, like, okay, maybe you really don't care for whatever that unpacked reason is, but this does mean something to a lot of people. And to your point, Gary and Sherrod, the TD Garden being sold out proved that. And I think if everyone would just be a little more supported, that doesn't mean you have to tune into every W game. Like, I'll admit, before the game last night, I'd only been to 2 WNBA games before, and they were in Connecticut because, of course, we don't have one in this market. And, of course, I've watched on TV, but I can't pretend like I could list everyone on every roster. But I think sometimes something as simple as just saying, I support women in sports. I'm sure y'all have mothers, sisters, cousins, women in your lives that I would hope you care about. And I think that is what support and advocacy and, like, true, like, as a man, leadership when it comes to, like, telling other men, like, all right, you don't have to go to every W game, but just support women in sports. And I think that's how we get to a place where it feels equitable. The W players are not asking to get male salaries, at least just yet. They just want support. And that's what Dejanay's rant was about, which is, again, why I commend her being outspoken about it, because it was like, why did she have to tweet before the game the fact that it wasn't publicized the way that she thought it should be, the fact that the game wasn't on national television, and, you know, got backlash for it for some people. But of course, the people that support the W were like, yeah, you're right. Why wasn't this on a national stage? So again, we're not trying to preach you have to watch women's sports, but we're just saying be empathetic, understand why this is important to women, and again, young girls. And that's all we're asking for. I think last night was a prime example of why we need to continue to talk about women's sports as well, especially on platforms where men that may not expose themselves to it will listen to.
Facts.
PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. That's right. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. While daily fantasy lineups are cool, you can also get in on season-long projections as well. Should you go more or less on Patrick Mahomes throwing for 4,300 yards? And what about Aaron Rodgers and 3,750 yards passing? How about Tyreek Hill having more or less than 1,376 yards receiving? Or Saquon Barkley rushing for more than or less than 1,050 yards? Get in on the action by downloading the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, Run your game.
But that being said, we will talk about the Celtics now. Tatum, as you mentioned, was at the game, Drew Holiday as well, and his wife, Lauren Holiday. But let's talk about Tatum and Brown, their offseason. We'll start with Jaylen because last season he was underwater doing God knows what kind of workouts, and he's back with even more. So what did y'all think? I don't know. We definitely talked about them last year, but the fact that we're getting a part 2, what do y'all think? I'm here for it. I think it's hilarious.
All I know is that brother is making $300 million and some change. Underwater, through the mud, in the creek, wherever you got to go to get your body right to ball out, you do that. And Jaylen, he is a guy that we all agree is an unconventional person. He does not think the way your cookie cutter template blueprint 26, 25-year-old thinks, which is great. He definitely likes to be an outside-the-box type of individual, and those workouts are a clear example of that. But to me, it always comes back to the finished product. Is this just for show, or is there some substance to this? And when you look at these workouts and you look at what we see on the basketball court, clearly he's figured something out. Clearly, he's doing something that enhances his ability to play at a high level. So, yeah, I'm all for the underwater workouts because they work for him. Now, if we were to see Jason Tatum doing an underwater workout, I would think this feels very performative because this is not JT's thing. This is something that Jaylen would do.
And also mental, too, I think. The underwater aspect has to be primarily mental.
Yeah.
As someone that can't swim. That's why I think that for the most part.
You had to let that secret out, Kwani.
But I mean, in general, though, like being underwater, like that's not a natural environment for humans, obviously. So, like sustaining underwater, and if he's working out as long as we think he is underwater, that's crazy to me.
Well, I mean, not to get all too messy with you, but at some point, we are in a place that's filled with fluid, And so the idea that we are not comfortable in water is not really true. That's kind of how we got this popping.
Oh, my gosh.
So, Gary, I'm going to transition to Gary because
Let's move on here.
Don't make me go all AP bio on you, Kwani.
Yeah.
Boys and girls, that is how babies are born or are made, I guess.
Get it popping, Kwani. Let's call it get it popping.
Gary, share your opinions about the underwater workouts.
It was good to see. Before Sigmund Freud started talking, before Sigmund Freud started talking, I felt like it's a good thing for him to explore new workouts. I know he went to Spain to do the workouts with the Player Association. So now he was in Oakland doing the stuff for the community, the city of Oakland. Obviously, a guy who went to school out there for a year and has bonds and ties out there. So it's good to see Jaylen live his best life and enjoy his offseason and understand that the teams are coming at the Celtics. I think he said that in an interview with our friend Monty Poole, that he knows the teams are coming for them and to bring it on. He's going to be ready. Jason's going to be ready. So I'm all for Jaylen doing all types of whatever he wants to do. It's August. I'm sure they'll be back in Boston in about a month, starting to work out, get everything together, and get ready for this upcoming 24-25 season. So kudos to Jaylen for just doing him and living his best life.
Yeah, as he should. It's summer. He didn't have any Olympic obligations, so why not? We also talked, I think we kind of touched upon this last week with Jaylen Brown and his exchange that initially was announced to be in Boston, but also him and Jason Kidd are collaborating to do it in the Bay Area as well. But Kidd's comments about during the finals, JB was better than Jason.
Look at you.
I know. Look, because we were just I gotta say the reason why I just hesitated because we were just talking about nicknames, and I was like, all right, maybe I should just call him Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But I mean, this was kind of evident, and I think everyone agrees. But what did you two think about Kidd's comments, and why did he even feel the need to address that?
Well, because I think for Kidd, that particular setting was one of those "I told y'all so" moments. Because when he said, that JB was better, that was before the Celtics had won an NBA title and before Jaylen Brown was NBA Finals MVP. And so this was really, kids, one of the first opportunities, if not the first opportunity, where he kind of addressed that he caught some flack for, because it really did come across as though he was trying to kind of play some Jedi mind trick games with Jaylen and Jason to get them to try to be a little more selfish and get away from the things that have worked. And, if we're being honest and we're keeping it 100, it's not like that's outside of Jason Kidd's realm to do something that doesn't necessarily violate the law, but it definitely is against the spirit of the law. I mean, telling a player to bump into you so you could knock a cup over and get you a free timeout? Yeah, Gary, your boy, your cow cubby, Jason Kidd did that. You know it. And he owned it after the fact. So let's not pretend as if Jason Kidd, I told y'all so. I wasn't trying to be divisive. I would never do something like that. Come on, bruh. Come on, man, as Chris Tucker would say. Come on. So I like the fact that he addressed it, because it was really kind of different to hear him go in like that earlier. But at the end of the day, Jason Kidd, you're trying to win games. You're trying to win not only games on the court, but also in the court of public opinion. And it helps you to have this addendum to that statement, because it comes after he, again, won NBA Finals MVP. I tried to tell y'all he was balling. So anyway.
Well, of course, I will add, he did say the thing, but as we know, media can sometimes take it as I'm trying to start something between Jason and Jaylen. Of course, I'm being media because I didn't read his whole quote. You can find it online. But to your point, yes, he was trying to justify it, but I think it kind of adds a little more fuel to the fire, because now you're revisiting a conversation that, again, you didn't want to create division, but now I feel like every year we somehow get into this conversation of who's better than who. And yes, of course, Jaylen Brown getting the Finals MVP didn't help, but okay, we can move on. Let's move on from that and kind of reset for the new season instead of replanting this conversation in people's heads.
Facts.
Gary, you agree?
Agreed.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Kidd, your Cal? I can't say Cal.
Nah.
Yeah,
I don't know why you need to explain it. It was 2 months ago, but whatever.
Yeah.
He's going to dance around it all. I wasn't trying to start nothing. I was just, so, I mean.
Good choice of words, dance.
Thank you so much for reading my mind, Sherrod, because the dancing bear, Guershon Yabusele, wow, beautiful.
Well done, Gary, with the assist.
Yo, the transitions on this podcast are so corny. I'm sorry to the listeners, but.
No, don't be sorry. Finish the damn play, Kwani. Finish the damn play.
Guershon Yabusele, a Sixer. He showed out strong for France, the Frenchman. What are your expectations for him in Philly? And why don't you two think it? We kind of know, but what do you think he needs to do in Philly that will alleviate the reasons why it didn't work out for him in Boston?
Talk about your boy, Gary. I know that's your boy.
No, that's his boy.
Well, I'm happy for him. I think he wanted to come back to the NBA. I think he felt like he deserved another opportunity, and he did. It's been 5 years. He's 28 years old now, and I think he was probably a little bit too young when he came here with the Celtics and didn't have a true position and wasn't in the greatest condition and was still young. And now he's found his niche. He's played some years overseas in the EuroLeague for Real Madrid. And now he gets a shot with a team that does need a power forward. They need some beef in the paint. And Guerschon plays fearlessly. He plays hard. He's not a great three-point shooter, but he can hit some threes. He can get to the rim and get to the free throw line. So I think he can make this work. And he's got a one-year deal, $2.1 million. So we'll see what happens. I'm happy for him because I think this has been a stage for him. Team USA, not Team USA, the Olympics, playing against Team USA, playing in the Olympics 3 years ago that he's been waiting for. And it's great to play in the EuroLeague. It's great to play in Real Madrid or, Munich, Germany, and all these great cities, Paris and Rome, and all these great international teams. But it ain't the NBA. You're not watching Real Madrid against CSK Moscow on TV much. You have to find that game where the NBA is worldwide. So Guerschon wanted a chance to show worldwide skills. He had that dunk on LeBron in the gold medal game. He was one of the best players on the floor for France. Let's face it, he was better than Batum. He was better than Rudy Gobert. He was better than Evan Fournier. 3 guys who are proven NBA players, and 1 guy's a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. So he deserved another opportunity. Do I think the Celtics should have signed him? I think they could have taken a flyer on him. I don't think it would have been a bad thing to bring him in at $2.1 million as opposed to him going to a rival. And I'm sure, we'll see what happens there and how it works out. I know the Celtics are being really cautious with that last roster spot because they have 14 players signed, and they got, just signed Anton Watson to the 2-way contract along with Drew Peterson and J.D. Davidson, and they could make another move. But it would have been cool to see him get one more shot in Boston and see how that worked out. But we'll see him on Christmas Day in Philly, with Philly.
Nah, Dancing Bear had the boogie woogie with someone else, man. There is no reason in the world they should have brought that brother back.
Boogie woogie?
Yeah, boogie woogie. Yeah. Oh, Gary, don't act like that's before your time. That was your time. Come on now.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow.
Listen here. This is a big fat meh burger. He's gonna play, but he's not gonna make them appreciably better. He had a great run in the Olympics. Great run. I think most people will agree he was the best player on France, if not every game, certainly more games than not. But I don't think his play is going to translate well to the NBA. Again, I think he's better now. I think he's more equipped to aid you in some capacity. But this is a guy that, to me, he's a borderline rotation guy. He'll play for Philly because, as you pointed out, Gary, they got a big-ass hole to fill. And he's a big boy. He's going to do his part to help fill that void. But I don't see him as a game changer. I don't see him as someone who takes them from being maybe a top 4 team to maybe a 2 or 3. I think they're going to be pretty much where they are. And again, it's no knock on him. It's just that he's not that difference-making type of player. And so I think the Celtics had every reason in the world to be like, yay, you're playing well. Thanks for coming out. We'll see you on another NBA roster when we see you. I don't even think it was, even as he was playing well, I would be surprised if it even became a passing thought to bring him back. I don't even think it got to that point. And again, it's no shade on him. It's just that this team, the issue that this team has now is the same issue that led to them getting rid of him, and that is they are built to win a championship. He needs to be in a situation where he's going to play and get better and grow. And to me, that was a problem in Boston. I didn't think he got a chance to grow. I didn't think that they were built in a way that would allow a young player who needs to be out there, get minutes, show what he can do, make mistakes, learn from the mistakes, and get better. I don't believe he got a legitimate shot to do those things, but the reason why was because that team was built to do more than what he was capable of giving them in terms of wins and losses. Now, you put him on a team like the Charlotte Hornets, you put him on a team that, like the Atlanta Hawks, he gets you 14, 15 points, looks like he might be a borderline all-star even. But that team sucks, and there's a reason why he's balling out. Philadelphia, I don't think they suck, but they're have such a hole at the position that he's going to fill that his numbers will probably look better than his actual play, and that's okay. Because I hope he does enough to where Philly gives him a multi-year deal after, or he convinces someone else to give him a multi-year deal. Because when you're talking about the top 400, 450 players in the world, do I think he is among them? Absolutely. Absolutely. And he should be in the NBA. But if I'm trying to win a championship and I got one roster spot left, am I going to bring him in? Hell no. Hell no. And again, it's not because he's a bad player. It's just that he's a bad fit for what our ultimate goal is, which is to win a championship.
Okay.
So go ahead and be Joel Embiid's caddy. That's nothing wrong with that. No shame in that.
Not go ahead and be
his caddy.
That was very shady, whether you intended it.
With the hat. Nice little jacket.
All right.
Did you get to wear gloves?
Summertime is winding down, but the college football season is just starting to heat up. There's no better way to get your college football fix than GameTime, which is where you can find the best deals on college football game tickets, concerts, NFL, WNBA, and so much more. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluffs to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The one college football game I'm looking forward to seeing this year is when my alma mater, Syracuse University, travels out west to play Gary Washburn's Cal Cubbies. Cal Bears. There's a great selection of seats starting as low as $29 for that game. That's right, $29. Having the map of the stadium along with the different colored price coding makes it super easy to find the best seats for your budget and not have to scramble all over your app to do so. And you're covered by GameTime's lowest price guarantee, where GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with GameTime and download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
You kind of answered the next question about his impact on the Sixers. So let's move on to the final topic on our rundown today. Steve Kerr resigning as Team USA's head coach. As of now, the two rumored possible replacements, Erik Spoelstra, Ty Lue. Who do you two think would be the best fit for that role? But also, do y'all think Steve Kerr stepped down because of the Tatum thing?
I'll answer that question, no. Gary, who you got? Ty or Spoelstra?
I probably would go with Erik Spoelstra. I'm fascinated to see what he would do with Team USA's roster. He's a great coach. But Ty, you couldn't go wrong with Ty Lue either. I'm not sure why Kerr is going to step down. He just had the job, just took the job. He coached in the World Championships last year, and now the Olympics. Is it a kind of a one-term situation? Is Kerr? I think Kerr also probably has got a few years left with the Warriors, and probably is like, listen, I don't want to commit to Team USA in another 4 years, and I might not be the coach of the Warriors then. Because I think probably when Steph goes out, he probably goes out, right? Yeah. So I'm sure that's probably for his future planning. But I would like to see Erik Spoelstra and what they could do under him. I think he's a great coach, and I think he could do great things with Team USA.
Yeah, I mean, Spoelstra, to me, there's no question. When you look at the body of work that Erik Spoelstra has put together, it makes a lot of sense if he's the next one. But I'm going to go with Ty, and here's why. Ty, first of all, is a hell of a coach. Ty has done something that no human being could possibly do, or at least I didn't think could do. He won a title in Cleveland. Oh. I mean, I'm sorry, but he won a title in Cleveland. And you go back and look at the squad that he won a title with, that ain't no championship squad. It ain't. I'm sorry. You look at what Spoelstra has won with, that team absolutely was built to win a championship. And even the teams that Spoelstra had that weren't that good, he still got, I thought, maximum value out of those teams. But that's where I go with Ty, because Ty has been able to do the unprecedented. Ty has a different level of respect with the top players in this league that's different than Spoelstra. I think Spoelstra, now don't get me wrong, Spoelstra is a well-liked, well-respected coach, but with Ty, it's different because Ty is a former player who has competed against some of the best players in the game, has been able to basically put players who you would think coaches are scared to death of, i.e. Kevin Garnett, can tell him some things that Kevin Garnett would actually listen to him and not trip and flip over. Spoelstra, you remember those early days, Spoelstra had to work up to that. Ty came to the game as a head coach, already had that pedigree down pat. You remember those early days with LeBron where, there'd be a timeout and LeBron would walk past him, give him a little shoulder nudge, and you're like, whoa, what was that? You never see that stuff happen with Ty. Ty has a level of command and respect of these men in the NBA that would allow him to make a seamless transition regardless of what coaching decisions he made. You would never hear anyone really grumble about that. And I think with Spoelstra, I would hope that wouldn't happen. But I'm not sure if a guy like Anthony Edwards, for example, what if Anthony Edwards winds up getting the Jason Tatum treatment in 28, where you went from being an amazing player 4 years ago, balling out, showed your game, to a new coach or a different coach who's like, well, you know what? I think I'm going to go a little bit more with Halliburton because I just think he gives us a little more versatility than you do. He plays better defense or whatever the rationale may be. will that go if it's coming from Spoelstra versus coming from Ty Lue? And those are the kind of things that when I think about this Olympics team, you really do need a very special, unique, niche type coach. They can't just be a really good coach, which Spoelstra is. There has to be something different and unique about them that these men are going to respect and not question, regardless of whether they play or not. And it's not going to become an issue. The thing about Ty, I think Ty's smart enough to know how to not create an issue. You're not going to see Ty Lue as a coach not playing Jason Tatum or not playing Anthony Edwards. It's not going to happen. Ty, if anything, what Ty would do, he'd have one of those guys play in a couple games, another guy maybe play some minutes, and the other, where if the other one sat, there would be a clear indication that he's not going to have one guy who's first team All NBA picking up DNP CDs. That literally makes no sense in the world. So that's why I think I'd go with Ty, just because I think he'd do a little bit better job than Spoelstra in managing those massive egos.
Okay. Well, we still don't know who exactly will take that position.
It won't be Joe Mazzulla. It won't be Joe Mazzulla.
Joe Mazzulla. You have my vote.
Nah, I don't think Joe wants those. Nah. I think Joe's a smart dude, y'all.
In 4 years, he'll be fine.
Joe Mazzulla's a smart dude. He don't want that. He don't want that.
Nah, he's good crazy enough to do it.
Gary, since that is your boy, what you think?
Oh my God.
Don't ask me that question.
No comment, all right?
I think he would do as best as he could, and I think he'd be a good coach.
The best he can with what he got.
For team, I'd say maybe he'll be a candidate to be on the staff. I think I
can go with that.
That definitely will happen.
I would like to see him as a 2032 coach. I would like that. I would go for that.
Okay, man.
2028, nah.
Give him some time.
Nah, give him some time. Let him marinate on that sideline a little bit.
Right. Let's let him just get to this upcoming season first.
Get another chip. Get another chip in your belt.
Right. Well, did y'all have any final words before we wrap this episode up?
Nah, superstar. You got any more of those autograph pictures?
Yeah, I do. Actually have one right here. For the record, I did not print
these. I'll be your groupie, baby.
These were handed out
superstar
at the block party for my job. I actually was signing autographs, which felt obnoxious, but I still have a few more. If y'all want one, let me know.
Gary got like 5 of them. I don't know why he tripping. I don't know why he tripping. Gary act like he ain't got none. Gary got like 5.
I should have signed one for Gary yesterday.
Trying to sell them bad boys on eBay. How they going so far? You getting biz yet, Gary? I ain't got none.
That he sold. He put on eBay already. He got a $1,000 bid. So we'll see.
God.
He's joking.
He did nothing. Anyway.
Now, when you say that, now are we talking American currency or are we talking like the Somali shilling? Are we talking Somali shillings, maybe?
Yeah. So what's the conversion with the Somali shilling? Because you mentioned it twice already. Well, not on the podcast.
It's $1.75.
$1.75.
If you got 1,000 Somali shillings, that's $1.75 in American dollars.
It's giving scammer because why does he know that?
That's just yeah. Mm-hmm. It is what it is.
Well, on that note,
you can't even get a honey bun with that.
For Sherrod Blakely, I'm wrapping this up before it goes chaotic. Gary Washburn, I'm Kwani Lunis. Yes, again, that's Sherrod. Thank you all for listening or watching the Big 3 NBA podcast / WNBA podcast for today. We'll be back next week.